Should have had like a notepad or something that looked more official.
Oh yeah.
I didn't even think of that.
It's all good. I got one if you want to like
just pretend.
yeah.
I could have like one of those masks. All right, guys, I'm here with Sam Colgate, good friend of mine, drummer here in New Orleans, and we're here to talk about his custom drums that he makes, just to hear how he does it, his story, how he started. So, how you doing, Sam?
Good, Ian. How about you, man?
Can't complain too much, but you know how it is.
Stay busy.
We got special guest Stella down here, is Pooch.
Yeah. She's just as interested in the drums as I hope all you guys are.
Well, let's just talk about how you started making drums, because as a drummer myself, and we've talked about this before, it's really rare to meet other musicians and drummers especially who actually make the instrument that they play. So how'd you start getting into it, and you know, what was your inspiration behind it?
Cool. So yeah, basically, you know, I was playing drums. I was in high school, and my senior year, we got to take this class called Senior Studies, which was like a 3-period long class. You got history credit, a social sciences credit, and you got a lot of community service credit for it. So the first half of the class was kind of about you know, engaging with your community in different ways, and you know, learning personal histories, stuff like that, you know, doing service work. In the second half of the class, those 3 periods turned into a independent study where you basically got to do a project of your choosing. So my project, I thought it would be super cool. Me and my friend, you know, he was going to make a guitar, I was going to make a snare drum, and we were going to do a little, you know, presentation about the history of our instruments and, you know, about blues music or something like that. And he ended up doing a different project, but I stuck with making a snare drum. And you know, I did a bunch of research on the history and evolution of percussion instruments and how we kind of got from hand drums in Africa, and you know, the Ottomans and the Swiss kind of, you know, were some of the first people to have snares on their drums, and you know, a lot of the rudiments came from that culture. And then, you know, in New Orleans, how the drum set was born, and how it's been used today in modern music. So, you know, that was kind of the educational part of that project, and then the hands-on part was building a snare drum.
So the snare drum was the first drum that you really tried to build and started to build? Yeah.
Actually, you know, that drum is right over there. You know, I was super proud of it at the time, but I'm not a huge fan of it now.
That's how it always goes, I feel like.
It doesn't have a huge range. It really only sounds good if you tune it up really high. It's not perfectly round, and the bearing edges are not great. So hopefully I'll be fixing it up and refurbishing it sometime. But it does have a lot of sentimental value, so it's why I've hung on to it.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't just go to the DW factory and ask them for an internship or something like that. And I didn't really have access to a lot of the tools that most of the major drum manufacturers have, you know, wood steamers and stuff like that. So I just, you know, did some research online. It's crazy the amount of information that's out there on the web.
YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube. Seriously, I'm not kidding. You know, I learned that there's actually a pretty large community of custom drum builders that are out there, you know, kind of stay low key, and, you know, their drums are pretty expensive because it costs a lot more to make them this way than it costs for a factory to just kind of pump them out. But I learned about the stave method, which is kind of like, you think about a barrel, there's a bunch of boards of wood that are glued together like that. That's kind of how you start off. You know, I'll have one right here to show you. It's not round yet, but you can see it's a bunch of pieces that have been glued together. Then I have a little jig I made with a router table that this spins over, and the blade will cut it and make it round. Then I'll pass it through the inside. And you do that enough times and you get a round shell like that. You cut the bearing edges, you know, throw some hardware on it. Yeah.
Sounds so simple.
In theory,
yet no one can do it.
In theory, it's really not that difficult. I actually, funny enough, I think making the jigs and the setups that I used to ground the drum, building those was kind of harder than building the drum itself.
Really?
Yeah.
That's funny. So let's talk about some of these specific drums.
All right.
This drum was the one that you loaned me.
Yeah.
Graced me with, allowed me to play it for the last week. So talk about this drum. It's oak.
It's oak, yeah. This is a white oak. Really great hardwood. Looks beautiful, has a beautiful grain, and it's got really good tonal qualities. It's got kind of a warm sound. It's kind of similar to maple, but it's a little sturdier. So I made this drum specifically with like a straight ahead jazz sound in mind. It's a 14 by 6. It's got a fiber skin head on it, die cast tubes, and one of those big fat 40 strand snare wires on the bottom.
Yeah.
To make it really sensitive. Also, speaking of hardware, I got this super cool trick strainer on it, which has 3 different tension presets. So you flip it part of the way, the wires are pretty loose, and you just give it one more click, a little tighter, and then tightest. So I think that's, you could get really cool sounds. I got that on this other snare drum too. I find it really comes in handy with the larger snare wires, but I also made the bottom bearing edges really just thin, basically as sharp a point as I could possibly do, so there's minimal contact with the head and the shell.
Right.
So that this bottom head can really ring and the snares can, get the most response out of them.
Mm-hmm. So the bearing edge is really important in making a drum, and not many people, even drummers, really know what it is. So,
Yeah.
what to you as somebody who makes drums, what's the importance of a good bearing edge for the snares?
I would say that's the most important thing that determines the sound you get out of a drum is the bearing edge. Has more to do with the sound than the heads, than the hardware, anything. So the first, as a builder, the most important thing is that it's completely flat and flush and uniform, and there's even contact with the head the whole way around the drum. Now on the bottom of the snare drum, you do want to carve out snare beds where you kind of carve a little dip into it so that the snares can sit properly on the head. But on the front side, you want just as even as possible. Takes a lot of sanding, on a glue sandpaper on a piece of wood that's totally flat. Do this for
Shimmy in it.
for like an hour. Yeah. The bottom, like I said, I did a really thin. It's just a 45-degree angle, and I took in the outside edge just a little bit. I think about 20 degrees. So I really just have a point like this. So there's minimal contact with the head. So this bottom head can really ring free.
Yeah.
Really
You get a lot of the snare sound.
Yeah, really let the snares sing.
So talk about this drum, and we can get some closer up shots of it, but I'm not sure if it's visible in the video from here, but you have you said it's a walnut?
Yeah.
And then zebra in the middle, right?
The zebra wood, yeah.
Yeah. So talk about kind of how that changes the sound, how common that is in drums. What kind of, for lack of any better question, what's the point of doing that? Aside from it looks beautiful.
Yeah. Well, that's really the main point is aesthetics.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I know I've seen a lot of other custom drum builders, try and combine different woods. Some of them will do inlays. Some of them will do every other stave is a different wood that's different colors.
And I know sometimes even it'll be 2 plies of wood with 1 ply in the middle where you can't even see it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of those hybrid drums now that are like aluminum and wood.
Yeah, I've been seeing those too.
Yeah.
That definitely gives you different sounds.
Strange sometimes.
Yeah. This though I did mostly for aesthetic reasons. Also, zebra wood is a really beautiful tone wood. It if you just pick up a piece of it and knock it with your knuckles, you actually get like a little pitch and you could feel the wood vibrating, which is pretty crazy to me. Yeah. But it's a very expensive wood. It's exotic. This tree doesn't grow in America, so it has to be shipped from overseas. Mm-hmm. My main income is a performer and being a drummer, so I don't have that much money to work with. So I thought it'd be cool to just have a strip of zebra wood in the middle, walnut on either side, and that way it would still kind of match the rest of my walnut kit. I made this drum deeper. It's 7 inches deep. So I wanted something, that was versatile, but also, something that I could really get a good backbeat out of. Like this drum, wouldn't be my first choice for playing R&B.
Yeah.
You get a deeper sound out of it. It's a little fatter, but I still have it tuned up pretty high, so I could still play straight ahead on it and sound pretty good.
And I feel like that's the beauty of your drums. As I was playing this one and just obviously nobody knows this except for the people that were there, but I met you on a gig. I met you at the Roosevelt.
Yeah.
And you were playing your drums, and I remember playing them and thinking like, man, these are killing sounding drums. And I remember telling you that, and you were like, yeah, I made them. And I was like, woo, that boy. Yeah, I mean, it's like, was it that drum?
Yeah, it was this bass drum, Yeah, I might have had different heads on it at the time, but yeah. So, just as I'm still grown as a musician, I'm still absolutely grown as a drum maker. Just trying to find different ways to, bring quality into these instruments and,
definitely.
Make them really be as versatile and able to be bent into, whatever sound, the person playing wants to get out of it.
Yeah, it's a noble calling for sure.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you want to say about your drums? Promote your stuff. Promote whichever you want to do.
So it's quarantine. None of us have any gigs or anything, so we have a lot of free time. I'm trying to keep busy by making another batch of drums right now. So I know not a lot of drummers out there have much money coming in right now. But anyone out there just has a savings account they haven't touched or anything like that. This guy is for sale. It's a 14x6. Again, it sounds really great for straight ahead. I'm also gonna have another 14x6 made out of Santos mahogany, really beautiful wood. I'm gonna try and make that more kind of not specific for straight ahead, but just good all around drum.
Yeah. So where could people contact you at? Instagram, Facebook?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. You look up Colgate Custom Drums. I'm on Facebook also. You can also just add me, Sam Colgate, on Facebook. Instagram, though, is probably the best place to check out these drums. I try and post to my story, progress about building and stuff. If anyone's interested in that process, want a drum commissioned by me, or you want to just, hang out, talk drums, feel free to shoot me a message.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
well, it's been great sitting down and talking to you.
Yeah, man, always a pleasure.
We're good friends, and
I
I appreciate you loaning me the drum and giving me the opportunity to be a part of your drums.
Thanks, man. Thanks for sitting down and talking.
Yeah,
Thanks
awesome.
for playing.
All right, well, that's it.